Trump will be hitting the campaign trail far more during the midterms than other presidents. And it's actually not a bad idea. Now, it's being reported that Trump will forego some of his presidential duties. Let's be honest, he doesn't really do a whole lot. Let's be honest. I mean, what does he do? He watches TV most of the day. Yeah, okay. But he's getting out there, and he's actually campaigning very heavily for Republicans. Now, that could help them. That could also hurt them. So we'll have to see what happens in the midterm. Now, CBS correspondent Major Garrett actually talked about this, and he had some interesting analysis. And I want to go to that video right now.
This feels like a different kind of midterm.
It does.
Does it to you, too?
It feels like a national election, does it not? And there is a sense in the polling data that energy in both parties is at historic highs. We've never seen that before. Usually if it's a midterm, one party's up, the other party's depressed. That's the Trump effect. I write in my book, Mr. Trump's Wild Ride, that under Trump, politics feels primal. Everything feels nationalized. Why? Because he always wants to be the center of every conversation. And these rallies, he's going to do 2 a day for the 6 days up to the election. 2 rallies a day, the White House has told me. That's intense personalization of national politics.
So
that's Trump's way.
Whether or not it is a referendum in some ways on President
Trump. And he wants to make it that. And his supporters look at that and say, he's out there strong and bold. We need to be out there for him. He knows that if he retreats, this becomes a democratic conversation. He doesn't want that to happen.
So let's kind of break this down, right? Because there was a lot of information there. But basically, he's like, look, yeah, Trump is basically a narcissist, and he's going out there and he's actually actively campaigning as if he's running in a presidential campaign. Why? Because he wants to make it a referendum. Well, the other day, he was talking about how, hey, man, look, if you guys lose, if Republicans lose the midterms, that's not my fault. But then how can you make it a referendum about you and then completely distance yourself? But it's because he doesn't think, right? But at the same time, what he's actually going out there and doing, that's actually kind of smart politics. Now, I wonder what had happened, for example, if President Obama got out there in 2014 and 2010 in order to rally people just like Donald Trump, to use the bully pulpit, right? I wonder if that had actually turned out differently. Trump is actually playing smart politics for the wrong reason. And that's one thing Donald Trump is actually really good at, is that he's a marketer. So he's good at basically going out there and marketing himself and marketing the Republican Party in politics. Again, that is smart politics. He's using the bully pulpit to excite his base before an election. It's almost accidentally smart. Now, look, he was going to do this anyway, even if it wasn't smart politics. And Garrett is right, is that, and this is a part of the video that you didn't see, where a certain issue, for example, the migrant caravan, it plays well in certain places, but it does not play well in other places like California and New York, etc. And California, of course, has a lot of very important House races going on. So him going out there in the campaign trail could also motivate Democrats as well. So that is kind of interesting. Now, on the flip side, what are the Democrats doing? Well, the Democrats are starting to notice, and they're like, oh shit, maybe we should actually do something in the midterm as well. Bernie Sanders, for example, Bernie Sanders has been traveling around the country to stump for Democratic politicians. He was recently last week in Indiana, Michigan, and South Carolina, and he's going to a lot of other states. Now, we even have news that broke out today that President Obama is now getting involved in the midterms. He's like, oh, I better go to Michigan to rally for some of these Michigan Democrats. Bernie Sanders beat him to that. President Obama used to be the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, because that's what happens when you're president. So these politicians are actually, in a weird way, learning something from President Trump and saying, oh, shit, maybe we should go out and excite the base. Give them something to vote for instead of something to vote against, or just not paying attention. Because look, midterms are pretty serious, and I've been saying this for years, right? Midterms do matter. And look, Republicans take it seriously. They always take it seriously. And unfortunately, a lot of Democratic voters don't. Now that sucks because midterms always matter. They are always incredibly important. You've got to get out there and get involved. And so hopefully some of these Democrats and as well as Bernie Sanders can offset what's going on with Trump. And look, there's a lot of voter registrations that are up this midterm cycle, which is amazing, which is awesome. But you got to get out there, man. You got to get out there. You got to vote. And here's the thing. This is the Republican strategy now. Trump getting out there, being visible, doing rallies, trying to gin up both excitement and fear. And so we got to get out there and do the same thing, promote truth and justice, and more importantly, get out there and beat them with our votes. So it's a very interesting analysis from Garrett. I think he's seeing it too much from a horse race perspective, because here's the thing. The reason I want Democrats to win is not because, oh, I'm Team Democrat. It's because I want policy. I want actual good policy. I want Medicare for all, single-payer health care, tuition-free education for public colleges and universities, $15 minimum wage. That's what I'm excited for. That's what I actually want. Comprehensive immigration reform, stuff like that. Now, look, a lot of you are probably skeptical about what the Democrats would actually do if they get into power. Look, if they just if they just win the House, then there's nothing that they can actually do other than stop Donald Trump's agenda. But 2020 is the actual shot. And there are progressives on the ballot if they win these midterm races, in which, look, to be honest, if you're upset about some of the races that are being run now by some of the candidates, and you didn't get involved in the primary process, that sucks, man. But you should have gotten involved in the primaries. And if you didn't, now if you were disenfranchised, that's another thing. That's a completely different issue, and we've got a lot of disenfranchisement going on. But get involved in elections. The earlier you do, the better off you are of getting a candidate that might actually represent you. But in this case, it's a little late. We're stuck with the Democrats that we have. So we got to get out there and at least vote. I'm not excited about the current crop of Democrats, let's be honest, here in Michigan. Some of them at least. But at least I'm going to get out there and vote, because I think that's the least that you can do. And so, especially when Republicans are so energized right now. And look, if they continue to get into power and after November, you heard it from Mitch McConnell. He's going to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. So, look, if you hear about those programs, which I do, I care greatly. Get out there, vote. It's the only way you can stop them, man. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.